Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going over my week number 9 wide receiver start or sit decisions for the 2022 fantasy football season. Inside today's video, I'll be going in depth into every single matchup from Thursday Night Football all the way until Monday Night Football, and I'll be telling you guys whether I believe you should start or sit the wide receivers in every single game. But before we could get on into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. I would also like to ask that if you guys have any questions about week number 9, to ask down below in the comment section. I love to talk to you guys down there. And you can also ask in our brand new Discord linked in the pinned comment or in the video description. It is also important to note that we have multiple teams on bye this week. It is the bye-pocalypse in week 9. The Browns, the Dallas Cowboys, the Denver Broncos, the New York Giants, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the San Francisco 49ers are all on bye this week. So let's get in to my week number 9 wide receiver start or sit decisions. We begin with Thursday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Houston Texans, and in this matchup, the only wide receivers I want to be starting are on the Philadelphia Eagles. A.J. Brown is coming off of an absolute heater of a game up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where this motherfucker scored 3 total touchdowns, and basically every single time he was double covered, you could not stop him up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This week, he gets a even worse Houston Texans defense. I expect a big game out of A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith wasn't necessarily silent last week, but it wasn't his biggest of games. But it's going to be hard for Devontae Smith to have a huge game when A.J. Brown scores 3 fucking touchdowns this week up against the Texans. You obviously have to be starting both of them. For the other Philadelphia wide receivers like Quez Watkins, he definitely has some upside to have a big game. It is the Texans after all. Maybe he does, but how much are you counting on that? Not very high, so I'm definitely going to be sitting him down this week. For the Houston Texans, before the trade deadline on Tuesday at 4 p.m., this video is being recorded on Tuesday morning. There is definitely a chance that Brandon Cooks does end up getting traded. If he's on the Texans this week going up against a very stout Eagles defense, there's no way I want to start him. Chris Moore, Phillip Dorsett, all these other Houston Texans wide receivers, this matchup is incredibly tough, like I just said. The Eagles might have the best defense in the National Football League. All of them are going to struggle mightily in this matchup. Next up, we move to the beginning of the Sunday slate with the LA Chargers going up against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. Now, the Atlanta Falcons have a solid game up against the Carolina Panthers, and the Atlanta Falcons offense looked to throw the ball a lot more in that game. Now, does that mean that finally we see the Falcons trust Marcus Mariota to throw the ball more, or was that just an anomaly of a game? I am not too sure. But even with that said, despite the fact that Drake London is this fantastic player, he simply just is not targeted enough in this offense for me to feel comfortable starting him. Now, I understand that the LA Chargers defense is not very good. They're severely banged up, but at the end of the day, Drake London has not been doing much since the beginning of the season. He has been a complete and utter fucking disaster over the last couple of weeks, and ultimately, I don't really see things changing anytime soon, and it sucks because of the talent that Drake London is. Olamide Zaccheaus, Damiere Byrd, they're also kind of in the same thing, but they're not as talented as Drake London. But the thing is, Drake London doesn't score any fucking touchdowns, and magically Olamide Zaccheaus or Damiere Byrd ends up doing so. I just don't trust any of them, and it really sucks because Drake London could have had a fantastic season, and maybe he will at the end. Maybe Arthur Smith starts trusting Mariota more. They throw the ball more, and Drake London starts eating, but right now, I just don't trust it. For the LA Chargers, Keenan Allen should be playing this week. I'm going to play him up against the Falcons defense, but I don't feel overwhelmingly comfortable doing so. Joshua Palmer is also a start because Mike Williams will not be playing. He's going to be out for at least the next couple of games. That elevates Joshua Palmer to be the number 2 wide receiver on this team. They also have DeAndre Carter, but it would appear, based upon what we saw the last time Joshua Palmer was on the field, that he is the clear number 2 guy in the scenario, that one of the main guys like Keenan Allen or Mike Williams ends up getting hurt. Next up, we move to the Miami Dolphins going up against the Chicago Bears in Chicago. Now, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are instant must starts. You don't even have to think twice about it. Both of them absolutely blew the back out of the Detroit Lions defense. I don't think I have ever seen a performance where 2 wide receivers just Eiffel Tower a defense like that. It was unbelievable to watch Jalen Waddle scores not one but two touchdowns. Tyreek Hill goes for roughly 7,000 fucking yards in that game. Tyreek Hill is now on pace to break the single season receiving yards record that Megatron Calvin Johnson held all those years ago. And honestly, I think he's going to break it if he's able to stay healthy, because this connection that Tua and Tyreek have is 5G LTE. It is perfect connection. It's fucking so impressive how good Tyreek Hill looks. And he's even looking good in these contested scenarios. This guy is shorter than fucking Kyler Murray, and he's out there catching these crazy jump balls, contested catches, things you wouldn't think a speedster wide receiver like Tyreek Hill could do. He can do. Jalen Waddle away. Waddle is obviously very impressive as well. The Bears defense just got absolutely fucking torched by the Dallas Cowboys. I love this matchup for both of these wide receivers on the Dolphins, who, again, they just had a big week last week up against the Lions. Trent Sherfield scored a touchdown, but they didn't ultimately call it a touchdown. If you rewatch that, it was definitely a touchdown. Mike McDaniel, head coach of the Dolphins, should have challenged, but he didn't. And then Ingold, our fullback, ended up scoring. I say our because I'm a Dolphins fan. If you're in a uber deep league, like a very deep league, I think Trent Sherfield's interesting. But again, if Waddle and Hill are going to feast like this, you're not really going to want to start Trent Sherfield. Darnell Mooney has gotten better. This Bears offense has really started to look good. Justin Fields looks like, you know, maybe that's why they drafted this fucking guy. He still struggles with just staring wide receivers down. Like, he'll just stare Darnell Mooney down. Darnell Mooney's been playing better. The problem is the Bears' best way to attack, and the best way to attack the Dolphins, in my opinion, is by just running the ball down their throat. So I think Justin Fields will have a successful game. He'll be a start-worthy quarterback, but ultimately he kind of spreads the ball around so much that you don't really know if you want to start Mooney, Pettis, St. Brown. You really don't want to be starting any of them, so they're all going to be sits for me, and the two main Dolphins wide receivers, Hill and Waddle, are starts. Next up, we move to the Carolina Panthers at the Cincinnati Bengals, and in this one, I want to be starting both of the main Cincinnati Bengals wide receivers. Now, that game last night up against the Cleveland Browns was a complete and utter unmitigated disaster for the team. The Browns absolutely skull-fucked the Bengals. I know the score at the end of the game, it doesn't look like the Browns destroyed them, but if you watch that game, the Bengals, for a majority of the game, could not move the ball. Their offense was incredibly inefficient, and the Browns defense really stepped up and made some huge plays. Now, while T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd didn't necessarily have these dominating performances, this week they get the Panthers. And I know if you're a Bengals fan, you're like, oh wow, this team needs to figure shit out, because since Jamar Chase is now going to be gone for the foreseeable future, this offense needs to be able to figure things out, right? The second Jamar Chase is gone, this offense shouldn't instantly implode on itself. So I know Bengals fans might be a little bit nervous, but ultimately, I still do believe that T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd will be able to easily get it done up against a not-so-hot Carolina Panthers defense this week. For the Panthers, I'm going to fire up DJ Moore. It appears that PJ Walker has elevated DJ Moore back to being a potential top 10 wide receiver every single week in fantasy football. DJ Moore has always been an incredibly talented player. The issue was the quarterback situation for DJ Moore. TJ Hawkinson's on my brain since he just got traded, which we're going to talk about when we get to the Vikings. But DJ Moore has always dealt with these bad quarterback situations. He's a lot like Terry McLaurin. But, you know, while I don't think PJ Walker is the second coming of fucking Patrick Mahomes, I do think it is great for him. And I think up against the Bengals defense, DJ Moore will get it done. Terrace Marshall Jr., Shi Smith will be sits for me. Marshall actually has looked pretty decent with PJ Walker, but ultimately I'm just not comfortable starting him this week, or probably ever, unless he starts seeing a crazy target share. The other Michael Thomas in the NFL, the one that actually plays games, is on the Cincinnati Bengals, but he is going to be a sit for me. Like, this Bengals offense really needs to figure something out here, and hopefully they do up against the Panthers. Next up, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. In this one, I'm going to be firing up for the Lions' Romeo Dubes. Now, obviously, Allen Lazard's health is up in the air. I don't think he's going to play this week, and I think if he does end up playing, he's going to be playing in a limited fashion. I don't think he's going to end up being fully healthy in this matchup. The Lions defense, like I said with the Dolphins, they just got their shit pushed in, okay? The Lions were bad news bears on defense. We've known this, though. The Lions defense has been dick cheese all season long, and I think Romeo Doubs takes big advantage of that in this matchup. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an insta-start wide receiver every single week. Obviously, he didn't have the biggest of performances up against the Miami Dolphins defense, but it's not like he took a shit directly on your chest and smeared it all around, right? He didn't have that bad of a game. He scored around 10 fantasy points, so not the best. Obviously, not what you wanted out of Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I still view him as a potential top 10 wide receiver. And now with TJ Hawkinson gone, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to continue to get funnel targets. The issue, though, is when they get in the red zone, they just love to run the ball, and that obviously minimizes the opportunity for Amon-Ra St. Brown to score a lot of touchdowns. Sammy Watkins, Amari Rodgers, these other Packers receivers are sits. Same thing goes with the Lions wide receivers, Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond. I understand that Aaron Rodgers really hasn't been all that great this season, but he's good enough to perform quite well up against, again, a fucking atrocious Lions defense. Next up, we move to the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Now, Davante Adams and Derek Carr had what might be the worst performance ever out of a quarterback and wide receiver that I legitimately thought would have a good game in a positive matchup against the Saints. Derek Carr got pulled in the game. Davante Adams had, going into the game, there was the flu game narrative. Oh, maybe it'll be like Michael Jordan have this big game. I didn't really give a shit that he had the flu. I still thought he would perform. But obviously, if you watch the game on Sunday, the Raiders offense was taking a nap, and the defense was as well. With that said, though, can you really write off Davante Adams, right? Having a down game when you're that elite of a wide receiver, in reality, just, sucks, right? You obviously want Davante Adams to score 10 plus points every game. You're hoping he scores 25 plus points in these big games. He has a down game. It is what it is. Christian Kirk has been not the best as of recently. He started off, he came out the gates hot this season. Recently, he's kind of cooled off, but we just saw the Raiders defense and how bad they are. So I think Christian Kirk should be fine. The problem is now I'm starting to question Trevor Lawrence again because, let's be honest, outside those first couple of games, Lawrence has not been the same. It seems like the best draft pick that they made of a Clemson player in the first round in 2021 was Travis Etienne. Hunter Renfrow, Mac Hollins, or sits. I just don't trust Derek Carr at this point. I think Davante Adams will be fine. I don't trust them. And Renfrow's been awful this season. Zay Jones, Marvin Jones. I think you can consider Zay Jones in deeper leagues. But again, the issue here is the fact is that Trevor Lawrence just has not looked the best. But before we pivot on into the next game here, which is the Colts at the New England Patriots, I would like to give you guys a quick word from our friends and our sponsor over at BetMGM. Now, BetMGM has been on the screen this whole entire video, and they have an exclusive offer just for you guys that is a no-brainer NBA offer. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Nick, I don't really watch the NBA. Well, once you understand how this deal works, you're going to want to take part in it, even if you've never watched the NBA in your life. So, BetMGM is giving you guys this exclusive offer by clicking the link in the video description down below or in the pinned comment. If you are a new user, click on that to activate this offer. If you bet $10 on any pregame NBA moneyline bet tonight, the bet doesn't even have to win. If someone in the NBA hits a three-pointer tonight, which is guaranteed to happen, you will receive $200 in free bets instantly. Again, your bet doesn't even have to win, so make sure you take advantage of this right now. Make sure you click on the link in the video description down below to activate your offer. You have to be a new user. You bet $10 on any pregame moneyline bet in the NBA tonight, and if someone makes the three-pointer, you'll receive $200 in free bets, and those free bets don't have to be placed on the NBA. You can place them on the NFL, MLB, the World Series, NHL, anything. So make sure you guys do check that out. Make sure you take advantage of this free money before it goes bye-bye and disappears. Next up, we move to the Indianapolis Colts going toe-to-toe with the New England Patriots. Now, Sam Ehlinger, I didn't think, eye test-wise, I didn't think he looked bad. Now, obviously, he didn't look great, but I don't really think anyone expected him to look great. Now, the Colts did this morning on Tuesday fire their offensive coordinator. So this situation in Indianapolis is getting very bad, and I think Frank Reich, he's been on the hot seat all season. I think if they keep performing how they are, his ass is just done for. But I also thought he would have been gone a while ago, and they keep just kind of extending the leash on him. With that said, though, I still do believe that Michael Pittman Jr. is a start-worthy wide receiver in fantasy football. Realistically, again, we're going to get in the same thought process I had last week when they played the Commanders. Imagine you are not Michael Pittman. Imagine you're Sam Ehlinger. What are you going to do? You're not a rookie, but this is really your first time starting in the NFL. What you're going to do is throw the ball to the best player on the team. So either you throw it to Jonathan Taylor or Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman didn't have a feast against the Commanders. He didn't have a fucking Thanksgiving-level feast, but he still had a good feast. He still played decent. So I think up against the Patriots, the matchup is tough. I think you should be starting Pittman. Jacoby Myers is a must-start receiver every single week. I know he hasn't necessarily been the definition of consistency this year, but he's still the number one receiver on the Patriots. I think it'll be Mystic Mac Jones yet again under center. Jacoby Myers looked good up against the Jets. You just got to keep rolling him out. He is Besides Ramondre Stevenson, he's really the only other trustworthy piece on this Patriots offense. Devontae Parker, I don't think is going to end up playing. There's been rumors about a couple of the receivers on the Patriots getting traded, so I didn't even necessarily know who to include as the other wide receiver here because they have a bunch of guys, but I don't expect Devontae Parker to play. Tyquan Thornton is the number 2, but outside of that one game, he really hasn't done shit. Alec Pierce is a sit, but if you're in a deeper league, I think you can consider Alec Pierce. Petty Campbell is best left on the bench. I think his upside is now gone with Matt Ryan out of there. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jumbo Jets. Now, the Jets laid an egg up against the Patriots. I know that things went wrong, but ultimately, Zach Wilson had all of the chance to fucking grab that game and bring it back to him, right? They had the chance to win that game multiple times. They had the chance to play really good in that game and beat the Patriots and not necessarily end the Patriots season because it was only week 8, but you're really putting a damper on the Patriots. Like, they're already confused about the quarterback situation, and if now the Jets beat you, it's like, wow, they don't have Breece Hall. It's like, that would have been crazy, but ultimately they lose because Zach Wilson fucking sucks cock at being a quarterback in the NFL. With that said, though, finally, Garrett Wilson is getting targets with Zach Wilson. Now, I pray to the fantasy lords above that Garrett Wilson continues to be targeted. Now, this matchup against the Bills is very concerning. Very concerning. So Garrett Wilson is kind of at the bottom of the pit of guys I want to be starting because of the matchup. And also, if I'm being honest with you, I'm still not sure if Zach Wilson's going to keep feeding him, but Elijah Moore is definitely down astronomical with the team. They're saying they're not going to trade him. We'll see by 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today if that was the case or not. But like, one good game out of Wilson, like, I'm trying to talk myself back into him because he's so good, but I'm ultimately worried about the situation as a whole. Elijah Moore, Braxton Berrios are sits. For the Bills, obviously, close your eyes. Diggs is in your lineup every week. Gabe Davis, I know I talked him up last week. I really gave him the gawk 9,000 metaphorically, and he has a down game. But we all know the upside of Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis has the upside to be a top 5 wide receiver. I doubt he's going to get the sauce treatment. Sauce will probably be on Diggs, thus giving Davis a opportunity to have a huge matchup. Elijah Moore and Braxton Berrios again are sits. Isaiah McKenzie is kind of interesting in deeper leagues. But again, how trustworthy is the 3rd or 4th option on the Bills? Like, I know they're such a great offense, but I don't know. I find it difficult to start a player like that. Definitely a guy who's very touchdown dependent on being viable. Next up, we got the Minnesota Vikings going up against the Washington Commanders in Washington. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen are guys that I want to start every single week. Now, TJ Hawkinson getting plugged into this situation definitely does shift my opinion slightly on Adam Thielen. So for Justin Jefferson, doesn't matter who's around him. Justin Jefferson is the clear alpha. Justin Jefferson's the guy. He's going to have down games, but whatever, right? He's still Justin fucking Jefferson, one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver. In my opinion, Tyreek Hill's the best receiver, but you get what I mean. One of the best receivers in the NFL. You're going to start him against a bad Commanders defense. Adam Thielen now gets affected by Hawkinson. This trade was made on Tuesday, so I think Hawkinson will at least have some grasp of the playbook and be playing on Sunday. Now, the Vikings didn't really utilize Irv Smith Jr. So the question is, are they going to utilize TJ Hawkinson more? Based upon the draft capital, you would think that the Vikings are going to be incentivized to throw to the guy they just traded all these picks for, right? It's not like TJ Hawkinson got traded for a half-eaten bag of fucking potato chips, right? They had to pay some heavy draft capital. I know it was a first-round pick, but still, heavy draft capital to get him. I think they're going to look to not heavily utilize him like Justin Jefferson, but they are going to give him more targets than I think Detroit was. So I am a little bit worried about Adam Thielen, but obviously Justin Jefferson's fine. Terry McLaurin has found a resurgence with Taylor Heineke under center. Taylor Heineke loves to throw the ball to Terry McLaurin. It doesn't matter if there's 4 fucking defenders on Terry McLaurin. Mr. Heineke is still going to let that fucker fly and throw it towards him. Curtis Samuel has also had a resurgence with Taylor Heineke under center. It's almost like you shouldn't have paid Carson Wentz all that money when you have Heineke. I know Heineke probably isn't the answer for the Commanders, but we all knew, the writing was on the wall. We all knew that Wentz wasn't the answer either. KJ Osborne is a sit, now getting drastically hit by the RKO from out of nowhere by TJ Hawkinson. Cam Sims also a sit. Next up, we got the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals, and I want all the main receivers in this game, but the biggest issue is last time these two teams went toe-to-toe, I was talking about high-scoring narrative. Look at the Seahawks offense. Look at the Cardinals offense. If they both hit at the right time, this could be a tit-for-tat high-scoring game. They're in the same division, and last time these two teams played, the game was a downer. It was like when you're trying to engage in some intercourse and you drank too much and your dick can't get hard. That was like what the Cardinals-Seahawks game was. It was a humongous tease because I thought it would be a great game. This time out, maybe this is a blowout, or not a blowout, a fucking high-scoring game. I'm not too sure, though. DK Metcalf is superhuman. Going into the game, I thought they were going to use him as a decoy. Based upon everything that I read about the injury that he sustained, he was 100% going to be a decoy, and the man goes out there and absolutely balls. The guy is just superhuman, created in a lab. Metcalf's a start, as is Tyler Lockett every single week. DeAndre Hopkins is a must start. That one-handed catch that man made, whoo, whoo. I fucking ejaculated in my pants like I was that one Lonely Island song. Ronald, I don't know why I was calling this, and I normally edit it out, but his name is Rondell Moore. I don't know why when I read his name, I just call him Ronald Moore, but Rondell Moore has one down game in week 7, bounces back in week 8. Not a guy that's like a must-start wide receiver. Like, he's not in the same range as Lockett or Metcalf. He's definitely not in the same range as Hopkins, but he is start-worthy. Marquise Goodwin with Metcalf and Lockett healthy, I think he's kind of just cast aside. And then Robbie Anderson is, yeah, he's there. He's an island boy. He really does look like an island boy. Next up, we got the LA Rams at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The game prior to Sunday Night Football. Cooper Kupp, I'm starting him as long as he plays. Now, this video is being recorded on Tuesday, so do I know that Cooper Kupp is playing? Fuck no, baby. I have no idea. But even if he's 75%, I'm still going to start him. If he doesn't play, I could galaxy brain myself into starting Al Robinson, but I don't think I want to have that pain. Don't think I want that. Evans, despite the fact that Brady has been not the best this year, the divorce narrative's getting to him, but Evans has still been performing, so I'm going to start him. Chris Godwin, we did see Brady look a little bit better. Now, obviously, they lose the game, but Brady looked better. Godwin was okay in that game. Godwin has been a huge bust, in my opinion, this season. He was one of the guys that I love talking myself into him. It's like, oh, wow, he's going to miss the first couple of games, but the upside is so strong. Tom Brady's going to go out there and blow defenses' backs out, and ultimately, now we're in week fucking 9, and that's not happening. But I still think when ultimately there's so many teams on bye week, you got to start Godwin. Allen Robinson, Ben Skoranek are sits. Julio Jones, Russell Gage are sits as well. Next up, we move to the Sunday Night Football matchup. Sunday night of the Titans, the Tennessee Titans at the Kansas City Chiefs. Mr. Corvette, Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be a start in this game. He has elevated himself into the point where I believe in him as the number 1 receiver on the team. Now, Kadarius Toney is going to get ramped up and up in usage. Now, does that mean that Juju Smith-Schuster's dead? No, especially this week. This is his first game back. I don't think we ultimately see Kadarius Toney have that great of a game. He's not even on the screen. We have Hardman, MVS. Now, this game, anytime you have the Chiefs playing and you sit Hardman or MVS, you are kind of playing the chance game that they don't have a good game, and you always know deep down there's always going to be like a couple games every year where Hardman has a huge game. We saw it against the Niners, where MVS in this situation has a game where he scores fucking 30 points, right? Because of just how ferocious this offense is under Patrick Mahomes. But ultimately, their ceiling is immense. Their ceiling is one of those fucking crazy ass buildings that's built in Dubai. But their floor is the fucking attic that's at my house, okay? Very low down in the floor. So that's just how I think of things. Robert Woods, Nick Westbrook, Cain, Cody Hollister. I wonder if he's related to Cody Abercrombie. Not funny. But with that said, none of those guys are start-worthy. Titans passing offense is a big joke. I don't even know if Tannehill or if Malik Willis will be starting. Not too sure it matters, though. Then final game here, we got Monday night. The Baltimore Ravens in back-to-back Michael Jordan 96, 97 primetime games going up against the New Orleans Saints in the NO. Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry went on Halloween yesterday as fucking John Cena because you can't see them. They have barely been doing anything all year. They've been absent. They're not going to graduate because they've been absent for too many fucking games. This is a disaster. Chris Olave is the guy. Doesn't matter if it's Dalton, if it's Winston. It's going to be Dalton. Olave has been feasting, man. Fucking feasting. Devin Duvernay without Rashad Master Bateman instantly elevates to be a start. The Saints defense looked good against the Raiders, but I think that's more not on the Saints defense being good, more on the fact that the Raiders are, I say disaster a lot, so we got to think of some other synonyms, maybe is the correct word. I'm not some fucking English major genius, but some other verbiage to use here. But yeah, the Raiders defense, or the Raiders offense being terrible has nothing to do with the Saints defense being good, in my opinion. So Duvernay is definitely a start. So is Chris Olave. Chris Olave is a must start every week. Demarcus Robinson, James Prochet the second are sits. Rashid Shaheed keeps catching these fucking crazy deep down the field throws. Respect it, but he's not start worthy. Neither is Traquan Smith. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. If you did end up enjoying, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below as well as that like button. It helps me out a ton. If you do want to follow me on Twitter to keep up with all this NFL breaking news, there's going to be a bunch of news happening before 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If something crazy happens, I'll upload a short about it. Make sure that you guys do hit that like button again. Hit that subscribe button. Check out that BetMGM offer. Bet $10 on any pregame NBA moneyline bet. Receive $200 in free bets if there's a three-pointer hit in the NBA tonight, which is guaranteed to happen. Love you guys all so much. Hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, goodbye.